In Italy, first of all, I'll start with, because he hasn't managed there, how is Pep Guardiola viewed? When you say Pep Guardiola in Italy, how do people react?
Well, Italy is a country that prides itself on its coaching. It's its greatest export. And so there's a lot of respect for Guardiola. They would like him to come and try his hand in Serie A. Also because Serie A still has this belief that it is the most tactically challenging league in European football. I think that's harder to actually argue these days, considering the sort of talent that you've got in the Premier League.
Is his experience and what he was doing and saying in Germany when he was at Bayern instructive in terms of what he may do next at Manchester City, in terms of, we can sense that it is coming to an end because his contract is up at 2025? Or was it always a situation where you thought of Bayern, well, no, this is a 3-year thing and then he's gonna go? It never felt like he was there for the long term.
Well, I think James alluded to this. I think the reason why he's staying for such a long time at City is because he doesn't have to fight the kind of battles he had to fight at Bayern. At Bayern, he often felt misunderstood from the public. He didn't like the fact that grandees, Beckenbauer, Hoeneß, Rummenigge would kind of provide a running commentary on Bayern's game and by extension on his work every single day. He felt that his football wasn't fully appreciated. And he probably looks around and thinks, what other club can give me what City can give me? Mm. And I can't think of a club that is A, so well run, B, in tune with his ideas for the reasons that James mentioned, and C, of course, also has the financial muscle to make it all happen. So I think when you look at the stuff that kind of went wrong, if you will, or didn't go according to plan, that explains why he's so happy here. And that explains, I think, why he can't really... We've never really, unlike a Mourinho, for example, seen him talk or think about going somewhere else or mentioning other clubs or, never, because I believe that he's genuinely, despite the weather, very, very happy in Manchester because they offer him a unique environment of a tailor-made club.
In terms of how he's viewed in Germany and specifically at Bayern, obviously that's where he managed prior to joining Manchester City. What would you say his legacy is? Is there still a sort of a yearning for the days of Pep, or is it just a sort of a long lost memory almost now?
It's really difficult to answer because there is a bit of a polarization when it comes to evaluating his stay and his effect on German football and maybe football in a wider sense. There is an element within German football that almost blame him for the problems of the national team, to become too technical, too obsessed with midfielders, where are the centre forwards, and they trace these problems back to Pep's influence at Bayern.
Yeah.
It's not something that I particularly ascribe to, but there is, within the media and maybe within German football as well, there is a view that he caused problems almost in a strange way. But then there's also, and we have to offset that, there's also, of course, a strong sentiment that sees him as one of the most important coaches in history of football, that saw how Bayern played, the kind of level of football that he achieved at Bayern, the kind of reliability in terms of results, in terms of goals that he brought, and also Bayern's problems in the aftermath of his leaving. So it's not universal adulation, not universal accolades. I guess it's one of those things that it's a prism. You see what you want to see. If you are a bit traditional and you want to argue that German football should go back to its roots and its own kind of ideas, then you see him as the bogeyman who watered down German identity. If you are thinking more in terms of innovation, of progressive ideas, then he is still very much the hero of that story. But you have both strands in German football.
City are very well prepared. I mean, if you go back to them hiring Pep Guardiola, they were preparing for it. That's why they hired Chiqui Biguiristine. It's why they hired Ferran Soriano.
Yeah.
They wanted to customize the club for Pep Guardiola to make it attractive, because remember, he had his pick of whichever club he was going to. I think it's one of the regrets of Sir Alex Ferguson that he wasn't able to persuade Pep to take over, albeit I think that was when he went to coach Bayern. But I do think, as well prepared City seem to be, if you've built a club in the image of a coach and that coach leaves one day, it is closer, I would say, to what we've seen with United, where Sir Alex leaves and all of a sudden he takes the identity of the club almost with him. Same with Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. And I think it will be very difficult, no matter how well prepared they are, when you lose someone that you've tailor-made the club for. And I think that's why Pep has stayed at City for as long as he has, because there was a time when the narrative in football was the days of a Wenger and Ferguson are over, where someone can go on for not just more than 3 years, but 10, 15, 20 years. That coaches burn out after 3 years, that their ideas go stale, that the players no longer respond, and that's why they move on. Yeah, that was why Pep had apparently left Barcelona. It was why Pep had left Bayern Munich. And instead, he's still at City, and I think that's because they, unlike any other club, have built themselves completely around him.
If you like this video, click subscribe for more content like this. We'll be joined by the likes of David Ornstein, Matt Slater, Adam Crafton, Karl Anker, and plenty more through the season to bring you the inside track to the biggest stories in football. If you'd like to listen to the full episodes for free, search the Athletic Football Podcast wherever you get your podcasts from.